Hey everyone, welcome to Z's Bees. It's 2025. We got a bunch of hives installed. They're back. We got this yard. Actually, we're going to be running 4 different yards this year, all in the Fox Valley area. So a couple of these ones here were installed about a week ago. And then I also put some in just on Saturday. So the weather is finally starting to cooperate. We had about 65 degrees today, sunny. But up until this point, it's been a pretty cold, rainy spring. So I would say things are either normal or maybe a little bit behind as far as trees. There's not a ton of nectar sources out, if any, at this point. There's quite a bit of pollen. But when I went through this hive initially, I did not find the queen. So I'm just going through making sure everything's good. They all have a bucket of syrup. One of them already took down in less than a week a full gallon of syrup. So they're looking good. The goal for this year is to turn what I'll have about 8 to 10 hives to start. It's going to be to turn them into about 20. 20 is about the amount of hives that I want to run throughout the year. The goal for this year is to do mite control. I think last year I had some dead out, some hives that died. Like a lot of other people last year, the mites were just really bad. So we're going to be trying some different things. We have oxalic acid. We have some Viroxan, which is an extended release oxalic acid strip. So all about combating the Varroa mite. So with that, let's dive into this hive. I just want to see if I can find that queen, and then I'm going to switch out a feeder. And then depending on how long the video is getting, I'm going to check a couple of the hives that I just installed this past weekend, see how they're doing, see if I can find any eggs to make sure that the queens are doing well. So this hive here, like I said, they did not, well, if you want to come right over here and kind of go over my shoulder, I did not locate the queen in this one, and more concerning is I didn't really locate any fresh eggs. So if you find eggs, you know that that queen's been there within a couple, either hours or a day or so, and that is the goal. So this hive came from a split or a nuke that I had gotten. So I just want to see, I think now this bucket that had food in it yesterday is now empty, so I'm going to have to do some more food. I feed a 1-to-1 sugar syrup with a homemade Honeybee Healthy. Essentially, it's the same stuff, sugar water with some essential oils in there that kind of elicits a little bit of feeding, and with that, also brood rearing. So you'll see right under the cover here as I lift it up, there appears to be a good population. So there's a lot of bees, but again, the concern was I did not find the queen. Here they have one of my homemade pollen patties. So I make all of my own. This is let's see, I think it's Bee Pro, one of those synthetic pollen patties that all those are about a pound or a little bit more. And it looks like the bees are interested in my new microphone. If you want to pan up here, I got one of the new DJI microphones, and I think it's going to work much better. My voice will be much more clear and loud. Again, I want to make sure. I saw a lot of drones on this one, and okay, so this is a food frame. Move over. This is a drone comb frame. A lot of these were all drawn out last year. Looks like they're putting some nectar on this side. The general demeanor is pretty good. All right. So this frame here, again, I'm looking close. They're storing a lot of the food that I gave them. All right. We'll give them a little more smoke. They are not overly pleased with that microphone. I messed with them yesterday, so maybe that's a little bit something to do with it. So now they do have some brood in here, so at some point they did have a queen. So this is a brood frame. So that looks good. I wouldn't expect to see the queen over here, but I also don't see many eggs on the outside of all this, and she could come back and lay that. So now I do notice a little bit of a roar. So let's just see here. Here's another good looking frame. So they have brood, but the concern is I don't see any eggs. So even now, if they don't have a queen, they could not raise their own. So one of the questions that was asked earlier was, what would we do? So you could introduce another mated queen. You could put a queen cell in here if you're certain that there's not another queen, and they could raise their own. But then now and as I say that, right here, there's the queen. So they have one in here. She looks real small. If you can see, if you're following with my hand, real small. So I'm wondering if maybe she went a little dormant with the cold weather, and she just has to get ramped back up. But that is a queen right there. Okay, so I'm going to be really careful putting her in. Close them up. All right, so this hive we're going to have to really keep an eye on. The fact that I didn't see hardly any eggs whatsoever, if she doesn't start laying in a couple days, we're going to replace her. They have pollen, they have nectar, they have a whole bunch of bees, they have some brood. Hopefully that ramps the queen back up to start laying again. If not, we'll have to requeen, or we could take that queen out, and because we're looking at double deeps on some of these, we could do a newspaper combine. Given this time of year, I would likely just requeen this hive. All right. The only reason I put these medium supers on is just for protection. You could just put the buckets on here, but we have a fair amount of raccoon, possum, all kinds of stuff. These have only been here for about, well, Saturday is when they were installed. So we'll get a good gauge at how they're looking. Demeanor is already good. We'll crack the top. We'll give them a little bit of smoke. Okay. Looks like they've already dove into their pollen patty. This was just the pollen patty that I made. You can see the strips on there. They're already eating that. I made that, just put it on wax paper. Their population. This is a honey frame. This is honey from last year. A bunch of worker bees. I don't really have to be too concerned about the queen being over here. You can see I have a little bit of tear of the honey, and immediately the bees come over and start cleaning it up. I don't know how close you can zoom, but you can see the proboscis. That's their tongue, that they suck up all the honey or nectar. This bee right here, she's trying to get rid of the pollen in her pouch. Look at the amount of pollen that she has in her pouches right there.
If I can zoom.
So if you do the, there you go, yep. Keep going, I think you can get really close, but you should go right here. You look at the pollen pouches, that really yellow. So they're out there working already. You see all their faces in there, cleaning. This hive is exceptionally calm. So I see a whole bunch of 1 or 2 day old hatched eggs, which means that queen is probably around here or a frame or two over. Here, this is a good example. You see all the larvae. You see a bee being hatched out right here. She might be around here. Oh, there she is, right here. Right there. Right there is the queen. Real beautiful light colored queen. We'll get her back in there. Now she's on the edge, so I'm going to watch her. All right, so the 2025 bee season is looking really good. I have 2 hives out. Everything's in the Fox Valley area of Wisconsin, about 10-15 miles to the, I guess it would be the southeast of here. 2 hives that I'll be keeping about 3 miles away. 2 more hives that I'll be keeping about a quarter mile away, and then this bee yard here. So it's going to be a really cool season. Hopefully there wasn't too much buzzing on this new mic, and let me know what you think of the new mic, if my voice is clear, if it's too loud, too soft. We'll go from there. So thanks for watching Z's Bees. We'll keep covering everything as the season goes on.